But the compliment was that the city was excellent job with these tips. And they're one of the most frequent users. And I said, okay, I'll let them know.
Yes. They have a huge pile of stuff. Yes. Come sit by your boss.
They're going to get less than
I got my own with my nose.
How are you?
I knew what was Guys, in the interest of protecting everyone's time and being cognizant of everyone's time, we're going to go ahead and start so we can be on time.
Have you seen
I would love to be called meeting order.
Mr. Segrist has something to say to us. Hereby adjourned.
Appreciate y'all hanging out tonight, especially those of you who hung around. Sounded like the last meeting somehow spilled into finances too, so that's all right. We got a few items tonight that we'll head through on the agenda. The first item, we'll take a look at the November financials. So through the end of November, we're at about 41.6% through the year. If you look at the fiscal calendar, right now our operating expenses, we're sitting right at 39% on the year, so we are running right pretty close to where we want to be there. Our revenues, our state revenues are down $385,000 from last year. A good portion of that is we still haven't received our AEL payment, and we found out there was a delay in some processing, so we're getting that issue taken care of, and hopefully that should be here by next month. So it's really just a timing issue with the payment of that. And there is a little reduction in some of our base formula money there. Our tax revenues, though, are up $3.71 million from last year, so that's a good piece there. The expenditures compared to last year at this time, we're up $5.43 million, which actually is a little better than last month. We were up just a little over $8 million at that point last month. Salaries and benefits make up a pretty significant chunk of that, about $1.93 million. SPED instructional services, you all just talked a little bit about that. Those are up $356,000 from last year. Some purchase services are up from last year, $486,000. Some things that would include would be district professional development, which a lot of that's just been paid a little bit earlier this year. Subs, grow your own scholarship, some ELD curriculum, those some areas that have contributed to that area where we're up a little bit. And then capital's up about $2.7 million. Some of that's the continued HVAC project going on at Central, and then also the Hilliard expansion. We're starting to see some bills coming in for that. Much of that is going to be funded through ESSER or through some county reimbursement through ESSER dollars there. So those are the areas right there as far as our revenues and our expenditures. Does anybody have any questions about any of that at this time?
Did you say salaries is 1.9 million?
Salaries are up 1.93 million from last year.
Oh, up, okay.
Yes, up 1.93. Yeah, I wish they were 1.93. We would have a lot of money there, but
Why?
no, up 1.93
Why do you
from last
feel
year.
like? Why do you feel like that is? There was also on the revenue comparison,
Uh-huh.
on the, where was it that it was like the certificated salaries? I don't know. Yes, that those are up, but are we more? We've added more positions. We're more fully staffed. We gave
It's
the
both.
increase.
Yeah, I mean, we gave an increase and we've added some staff too. Yeah, combination of the two. I mean, it's where we budgeted. I mean, we planned for that, but for every, I use example, for every $100 we add to the base, it adds about $300,000 to our expenses.
Can you say that again?
Yes, for every $100 it's about $300,000, just a little bit less. So last year, we added 1,000 to the base, and that cost us just a little over 2.9 million.
And how, so are we looking, we're not fully staffed, right? Or,
No, probably not in all positions, no.
well, I would never expect that,
Yeah.
but are we similar to last year? Because
That would be an HR question. I mean, I don't know for sure where we're at on that.
well, it seems like we have a lot, I don't know if it's maybe like just the staff absences that's causing a lot of the, like, lack of subs or having to combine classes, or I just hear about that a lot, that we just don't have the coverage that we need, but then,
I
don't
think,
know
I
if
think
that's
Dr.
fair.
Kraus in his weekly said that the sub days are up this year.
yeah, they were like 200 compared to last year.
Yeah. And that part of that purchase services that we said we were spending a little more this year, that was part of that too. Any other questions? Healthcare trust, talk a little bit about that. The healthcare trust, at the end of the month, in November, we had 4.2 million sitting in that. And then if you remember, we have a little over 2 million invested. So our total that we have in healthcare trust at the end of the month is, is right about 6.3 million. We were one payment behind in payroll there for a couple months. We caught that up this month, so that puts us where we should be showing. In comparison, at the end of November last year, we were at 5.35 million, so we're up about $950,000 from last year at this time. I can tell you a little bit about our healthcare plan, what it's running. I only have information from the end of October. I probably won't have the end of November until, hopefully I will have it Monday before the board meeting. At the end of October, the plan was running with a fund ratio of 93.4% with a surplus of $336,000. So really our healthcare trust is running very healthy at this time. I had a Zoom meeting yesterday with Blue Cross Blue Shield, kind of an end of year review with them. Our numbers are all trending in good directions. Really, we're better than their book of business on almost every point that they take a look at. So we're doing the right things, our staff's doing the right things as far as how they're utilizing their benefits. We're limiting our access to ER unless it's an ER visit, things like that. So I think we're doing a good job of educating, but we've got some areas that are opportunity points. Also, we're looking at a couple of other enhancements to some of our benefits, utilizing healthcare trust and maybe some additions to our insurance too that are not extremely costly that we think we can support. So I have an insurance committee meeting tomorrow night. We'll be discussing some of those things, and probably within the next month or two, I anticipate from those meetings that we'll bring some stuff to the board to look at some additional benefits for staff for next year. Okay. Any questions about the healthcare trust? All right. The next item, I'll move to taking a look at the board agenda. The board agenda is not completely final, but I think I've identified everything that will be over 50,000 or will be of interest to this. KPN will be here Monday night to present the annual audit to the board and everything. So as far as we know, everything is good right now. It's a good report, but they will be here in person to present that Monday night. There is a purchase for Hilliard Technical Center with Matheson Clean Air Technology Custom Cooling and Heating. It's for welding booths, vent hoods, filtration system. That bid came in at $155,845. This is part of the equipment expansion out there at Hilliard that's being funded by House Bill 2. So this is money that the state allocated for us to do some equipment purchases, and you're going to see several of these over the next few months as we access that money that the state designated for us to purchase equipment at the Hilliard Center.
And what was the amount again?
$155,845.
And in the packet that we get for the board meeting, what will be included in that? Like for that purchase, like,
It's, it will show all the equipment that's
like
being
what we got
purchased.
for, okay.
Yeah, it will list it all out. Another thing that's really not part of us, but just something just be aware of, a couple of things. There is an extension, a 1-year extension of our sub-management contract with EduStaff. There was an opportunity for another 1-year extension, and Dr. Kraus and Dr. Edgar discussed that, and so they'll be recommending that 1-year extension on Monday night. Legal services,
Oh, hold on.
oops, I'm
For
sorry,
EduStaff, do you know the cost,
I do
that
not.
1-year extension? cost?
Well, that will depend on how many sub-days we use.
Okay,
Yeah, the contracted amount will remain the
it'll
same.
stay the same, okay.
Yeah,
I have a question.
yes.
Just as like a recap or clarification, it's been some questions about the multiple expenditure and they never receive any oversight, like on the bills and everything like that. If it's under 50,000, it doesn't come to the board.
It doesn't necessarily, correct.
Approves it if it's under the 50,000.
If it's under 50,000 by policy, as long as there are 3 bids and it's approved and it's within the budget, and
Yes.
it's approved by supervisors and then the business office.
Because we're essentially approving the purchase of that through the budgetary
Yes.
allocation.
Yeah,
I just noticed the question.
Sometimes you will see stuff on there that is under 50,000. The
Yes.
reason it's on there though is because it has a contract. Any contract
Right.
has to be approved by the board.
Okay, cool. I just wanted it to be clear.
Yeah.
I noticed a couple questions online about who's approving the bill expenditures and stuff, and so I just wanted that.
there are multiple levels of approval that goes through.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Robert, what would we use on the EduStaff? What was our total days?
I don't know that. Yeah, Brian would have that.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he put something in the weekly report last week that he had some of that, but I don't recall off the top of my head.
Okay. I thought you had the amount.
No, I don't.
The
I just-
contract amount.
Yeah, I was just noting that the contract's on there. Again, it will be at the same rate. It's just an extension of the current contract.
And it's the amount of days we use.
It depends on the amount of days we use, yeah. Also, again, just another item just for you to be aware of, legal services, our contract. We had 2 1-year extensions with Ed Council, and actually we're up to the second one, and we're kind of off on an off cycle at some point from that. So to get us back on really a fiscal year cycle, I reached out to EduStaff Ed Council, and too many Eds in these businesses, Ed Council, and asked if they would consider just extending it to June 30th, 2024. And then we're going to do an RFP in the spring to look at legal services again. And they said, yeah, absolutely, they would do that. It made sense for us to try to get that back on a fiscal year rolling forward and everything. So, there's an extension of their contract through June 30th of next year, but we will come back with an RFP in the spring for legal services.
So that's just getting extended to 6/30?
Yes, that's just extending the current contract. We had 2 1-year options on there by agreement of both parties, and we've done one, and this will be our second one, but we're actually going to do it for less than 1 year.
Makes sense.
And again, that's not just like a retainer plus hours. It's totally billed to us back on the hours.
Totally on the hours, yes. Yeah, they have hourly rates for different services and things, depending on whether it's para, whether it's which attorney and things like that.
And so we'll get the audit presentation Monday night.
Monday.
And then if members of the community are asking for their own audit through the state, that's completely separate.
How would that work
Lisa might be
anyway?
able to talk more about
Yeah,
that.
I'm not sure I follow what question you.
Oh, there was just a call for the state to audit.
How would that work?
I don't know. I'll be honest with you, I don't know how that works. This
Who
is
would pay for
this is
that?
the annual
We call it
audit that we're required to have to meet state guidelines.
It's a private company that does it.
Yes, yeah, and that's a bid that we have to put out every 3 years, and we
Yeah.
do just do that KPM.
But if like a group of community members are asking to get an audit, it's not us that has to pay for it, it's them, right?
Again, I don't know. That's not something that is covered in our policy about how an outside group, less than odd, I don't know.
The state would have to approve, I believe, approve for us, making us pay for it.
Okay.
I would think.
Lisa, have you guys already requested that?
I don't have anything to do with it.
All right, any other questions about the legal services contract? Okay, the next thing on there that's a little bit larger purchase, we are going to ask the board to approve a 3-year lease purchase for some maintenance equipment. We had Hilliard walk through with us and with our staff, and we did an audit of all of our facilities. And we had some pretty, some buildings had some significant needs, and some buildings were in pretty good shape as far as equipment. When I'm talking about equipment, we're talking about scrubbers, larger types of maintenance equipment, things like that. We went through for a while on some. We have a good opportunity here in that this lease purchase, they're going to allow us to enter into it now, but they won't bill us until July. We'll be able to budget this in FY '25, '26, and '27. One of the reasons we're looking to do this now is they'll allow us to lock in the interest rate right now at 3.9, which is considerably better than it probably would be come July. Truthfully, I was surprised it was still 3.9. And then additionally, equipment prices are scheduled to go up in the spring. And so this would really put us in a good position long-term, I think, for our equipment in our buildings. You know, talk a little bit recruitment and retention. Having the right equipment to do work in our buildings, and some of our larger buildings especially, that's important to be able to keep staff. Additionally, if we have the right equipment, sometimes maybe we can actually staff some buildings with fewer people. And so we'll not have necessarily a shortage of staff in some of those buildings as well. So that is a 3-year lease purchase that the first payment would come in July. Over the 3 years, it's $294,870 worth of equipment. And that equipment will be attached. You'll be able to see all the different equipment pieces that we're looking at there. But Matt Tabor's done a good job of working with us on that. Some other people from Hilliard walked through Casey and our staff and everything. And we think this will put us in a good position for a pretty good period of time.
Well, period of time being 3 years, 5 years?
Oh, I would say 10, probably 8 to 10 anyway. Yeah.
And this 3 payments of 260 some thousand?
No, that's the total over 3 years.
That's it.
Yeah, it is a monthly payment of $8,760, something like that, if I remember right.
8,600.
So it's a lease, all
600.
this equipment's leased?
It's a lease purchase.
Lease purchase, okay,
Yeah.
so we own it at the end of it.
Yeah, so we will own
Do
it.
they service it up until we own it?
Yeah, there's a warranty.
100% service it? What's the warranty run, just a year?
3 years, I believe.
Okay.
There's an option for an extended. Am I correct?
And you have a list, is it 20 pieces of equipment or 200?
83.
Okay, I figured
There you
it
go.
out.
See, yeah, good thing I got that.
The list consists of the brand, the school it'll go to, and the cost of each equipment, each piece.
Would you say that's replacing, like, is that 25% of our total inventory then? If you guys did a walkthrough, is it 20,
Probably, I would guess 40%.
40% turnover?
A lot of the issues with some of our scrubbers and things that the batteries are not even manufactured for them anymore. Some issues like that they're so old that we can't get the equipment to repair them or to get the rechargeable batteries for them and things like that.
Okay.
Is this only for Hilliard or all?
No, this is every school.
Every school, yeah, this is district-wide. It's coming from Hilliard, that's what's confusing, yeah. Hilliard is the company that purchased it. We need 2 different names for Hilliard. Chemicals and Hilliard.
And this was RFP though, right?
It is sole source because of compatibility with equipment, if I remember right, Casey, is that correct? Yeah.
Oh, that's not good.
Well, if you can't, I mean, you have to buy it though, it's gonna fit what you're gonna do. I mean,
Right.
it's like when we did the Click It or Ticket, what were those last time that we bought? they all click on, you know what I'm talking about. Snap-on.
Snap-on.
Like, you can just go buy different tools and they're not gonna be compatible.
Snap-on's a whole different thing than this type of equipment that exists all over the world. And there are about 15 different name brands.
Disagree,
And these are all different name brands. Well,
and I like that even more.
Any other questions on that one? All right, so. Let's see. Two other items on there probably. One is we have some bids for lead water testing. This is a requirement from the state of Missouri. This is Senate Bill 681 to get the Lead Out of School Drinking Water Act. Requires testing, and if we have any issues, obviously, then we have to do some remediation and everything. But this is the initial lead water testing. And we received bids from 6 different companies. And the one that was the lowest bid is St. John Environmental Consulting with a bid of $61,101. So that's the bid we'll be recommending on Monday night.
Can you say that again? Sorry,
Yep.
1,000?
$61,101. And the other bids ranged up to $99,960.
And this sounds very familiar. We approved an RFP for this?
Mhm.
Okay.
The state's dedicated ARPA funds to support this, so we will be getting some support to cover that. But this is a state requirement due to that law that was passed. So bid it out, and that'll be the company we're recommending Monday night. Any questions about lead water testing? All right, and then the last thing is a large one that we'll be discussing Monday night. We'll be bringing to you recommendation for transportation services. That RFP has been out. There are 3 companies that are being brought back to interview. And so we're still working through that. We'll be doing those interviews the rest of this week. And then we'll be bringing a recommendation to the board on Monday. The 3 companies that are finalists that we're interviewing based upon pricing is really the biggest piece of it. Our DS, Durham, and First Student. So we'll be conducting those interviews and we'll bring that recommendation Monday night as well. And yes, that's a large contract. Any questions about that? All right. Next thing on the agenda is the Evergy Business Demand Response Program. We'll update from that. If you recall in, I think it was March, in March, the board approved for us to become involved with the Evergy Business Demand Response Program. And really what that is commercial customers, they'll identify days that they are trying to, basically their peak days, and they're trying to lower demand. So on some of our very hottest days, they will ask businesses to bring that down, curtail their electrical load voluntarily, but they will also incentivize you if you're able to bring it down to certain levels. And so this year, and there can be a variety of number of days, they will identify those days and they run between June 1st and September 30th. This summer, there were 7 events that they called June 29th, July 26th, August 11th, August 22nd, August 24th, August 25th, and September 5th. And if you paid attention to those dates, unfortunately, 4 of them fell while we were in school. Would have been great if it got hot in late July instead of late August, but it didn't quite as much. The first incident, or the first event we had, or 2, we were really kind of learning a little bit about how best to manage that and bring our temperature settings down and everything. So we didn't quite get as high as we would like as far as our curtailment. We were actually doing pretty well on that. Our highest one was the August 11th one. We had the most curtailment, which was the last one until we started to have school. And our lowest one was the very first one, our lowest event. So the incentive we're receiving back from Evergy this summer for being part of that, $4,611. $4,611 that we would not have had, and also we did save the energy on those days. So when we talk about building automation systems and everything like that, these are the things that allow us to be part of things like this. And so hopefully next summer, we will, the board will want us to be a part of that. And we think it was a good program. It didn't really take a lot on our part, and we'll know a little bit better going in next year as well. And hopefully we'll be more fortunate with when the days happen, because really that's kind of the luck of the draw. If those days happen in July when we don't have people in those buildings at all, it's really easy for us to bring that down. But if those days happen in days that we have students in class, we don't want to bring that temperature down very much too soon, definitely during the day. So I believe is it 1 o'clock that they asked us to start? 2 o'clock they asked us to start pulling back. And so the last thing we want is, in fact, I think there was a school down in the Kansas City area that they were bringing the temperature down right at 2 o'clock, and then students were getting hot and passing out in class. And they were being told that the principal said that the energy company shut them off, which, no, it's not. Evergy had a big issue with that because it's a voluntary program on both sides. And so we didn't want to get into any issues like that, definitely. So we would kind of hold off on that curtailment while we had students in the building for sure. So any questions about that? It's a good program. It's a good opportunity for us. I think next year we'll be able to do better than that. But again, it's there's no risk for us involved with it. It's completely voluntary, and what we get rebated, we get rebated.
So during school time,
It
you
can
wait
be.
until after school and then you
Yes.
shut it down?
Yeah. But we sometimes still have staff in buildings, and you know, if it's a secondary building and there's still practices going on, things like that, it's tough to bring those too far down too. So
That's what I say, you're not shutting it off, you're just.
no, we're just bringing the thermostat down much further generally than we would, but yeah. Yeah, no, we don't shut it off completely. So.
Instead of, say, 72, you might have 75.
Yeah.
And that was at 7 locations that we did that at, so that was where we got the 4,000.
Yeah. Yeah, that, we're not able to do it at every building, because we don't have automated systems at every building yet, but that would be a long-term goal as well too, so.
Do you have a range of our monthly electric bill or our yearly bill electric-wise, the whole number?
I can get that for you, but I don't have it off the top of my head, no.
I mean, it's in the bills.
Is it 1 million or is it
I-
20 million?
Kenny, without looking, I don't even want to guess, because I could give you a completely wrong number.
Well, I think your overall utilities are 2.3, remember right? Million, is that correct?
Again, I don't want to commit, because I don't know off the top of my head.
They're all included in the monthly bill report.
Well, I don't think that, you know, Evergy's not really doing us no favors.
Well, I'm not saying they're doing us a favor, I'm just saying it's $4,600 that we weren't going to have, but we were able to get.
And what they raised the rate of,
I don't know if they raised the rate, so.
I mean, I've never seen a lower.
Any other questions about this program? All right, we'll move on. The last thing on the agenda is the direct service cost report. And we talked, I don't know if board members may remember this last year. We usually come to you and just share this annual number with you, just an informational piece. The direct service cost, what that does is it allows us to be able, if students, we're able to obtain some federal Medicaid reimbursement dollars for health-related services. And so there's an opportunity there for us to recover some costs for the services we're providing. It's a pretty bulky process to go through and do. And so Dr. Edgar, we started having a company help us with that a couple years ago. And so this year, we received $323,431 back in Medicaid reimbursement for services we were providing that were Medicaid reimbursable throughout the school day. In the last 3 years, we've received just about $1.15 million. So it's been a beneficial program for us to be a part of and everything. So I think you used the phrase "playing the game" there a minute ago, it's us being able to do that and find those dollars that are reimbursable and get those back for us, so.
What kind of services are they? Can you expand
Um,
on that at all without giving away?
Well,
Personal
it's gonna be,
information.
a lot of times it's gonna be services maybe our nurses are providing throughout the day, maybe some physical therapy, occupational therapy, those kind of things. Things that fall under a medical situation that we're possibly providing during the school day.
Gotcha.
I think there might be some transportation,
There's some busing.
busing and transportation reimbursement within that as well. Yeah. Any questions about that?
So you're not providing preventative or primary care of any kind?
No.
No.
Yeah, we don't, we
Or
do not.
immunizations?
We do immunization clinics,
With the help.
with the health department, yeah. But as far as us providing any primary care, we don't do any of that.
Do they still have the clinic at Lindbergh? Like in the
No.
back
No.
of the building? They used to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
used to be one there and used to be one at Carden Park as well.
We started one here at the enrollment center, since we have the enrollment center here, like in the summertime. So I think we had four clinics here, so when people came in and enrolled, they could also take care of and have those clinics, those shots here while they were enrolled, so we
Those
took care of
specific-
them.
Specifically, yeah,
So I know
for
there was-
immunizations,
There was
yeah.
a lot of chatter about immunizations and what was going on
It's all in
in
the summer.
that group. And I think, so Cap St. Joe partnered with that. I know that the Bartlett Center did and InterServe did. And part of that partnership was that our nonprofits were just helping get the word out so that when those kids went to school, and you talked to Tammy Smith-Hinchy, she talked a lot about how those kids would show up to their first day of school, not have the proper immunizations or a catch-up schedule or a religious exemption, and they'd have to go home until they could get it. So that's what
Yeah,
their
but I
parents
just
were
feel
there.
like that's a family issue that the
Well, their
district should
parents were
not
there.
be.
Yeah, their parents had to bring
Parents
them.
had to.
Yeah, we don't provide any
Parents
immunizations.
Yeah.
Again, we are not giving immunizations to
Right,
students.
the health department is through a
Right.
partnership. So the school district you have to take immunized kids or a catch-up schedule or a religious exemption. So when they would come to school and not have those, they have to go home. And then we have attendance issues and those types of things. So at the clinic, it was a partnership at those nonprofits. The parents had to make the choice to bring the child to get the immunizations. And it was just trying to make that more accessible specifically for low
And
income
when Ms.
kids.
Schulte was talking about here, we were just providing the site
Right.
We would provide the site, we
for
don't,
the
we
health
don't,
department to come and do that.
And it's to make it more
No.
accessible. for
the health
kids.
department administers
Right.
the immunization.
Then
We just
why
provide-
is the district paying for something then? If you're just providing a site, I don't understand why there would be.
We're not paying for anything. We don't pay for
There
that.
was no.
But you're getting a reimbursement for it.
Not for that, no.
Right.
No, because we're not providing that service. I'm
Well, I'm kind
talking,
of confused as to why it's easier for a parent to, transport their child to the school building to get an immunization as opposed to
Because
going to
they're
their
already
doctor or go to the health department.
Because they're already
to
coming
this
over
location.
to get their kids at the Bartlett Center or InterServe or over to CAP.
And we're across from
Parents
Hardy
already coming.
Village, so then they're not having to make, and then a lot of the times those kids are on Medicaid, and I'm sure you know that there's not a lot of Medicaid providers in St. Joseph, so being able to get an appointment in before the start of school and get those records and get them where they need to go, it's just to make it more accessible and then to make sure that they're attending.
Yeah.
They
and
still
just
have their
clarify,
actually
just
an
clarify,
actual-
this program has nothing to do with immunizations.
But there's an actual clinic in Carden Park, correct?
There's
No.
not-
No, there's
More.
not.
No.
Did there used to be?
Yes, there was a doctor.
2 years ago.
A doctor,
Down in pediatrics,
yeah, pediatrics, they,
and that was largely grant funded.
yeah.
Okay, well, I just think that the school district should not get into healthcare.
The good thing is we're not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make it accessible.
Any other questions about the direct service program? All right, that is everything that is on the agenda tonight. Is there any questions about anything?
Can you talk a little bit about, I know that there were some concerns raised about travel. Can you just talk about the procurement process for travel? For instance, I know at CAP, if we allow our staff person to take a family member, then we have to do some arrangements for that. If they want to stay an extra day, then we have to prorate that. Can you guys talk to that just a little?
You want me to handle that one?
Sure.
Of course he does.
Well, I see all those, so I thought maybe I would.
Yeah.
For instance, if I'm going to a conference that's a 3-day conference, let's say it's $100 a night, and I want to extend my stay, I have to show the business office, hey, it would cost $300 for me as a single room person. If it costs $400 and my husband's gonna stay, then I am responsible for that difference. I would put that on my card normally, so there isn't even a show of that part. But they have to prove that it's no additional cost to us. And if it is, they are required to pay that.
Perfect. And then the only other one I had was about the metal detectors. Can you talk about the procurement process that we went through for the metal detectors, which I love, by the way?
So we just went out and collected, quotes and bids on them. I researched those and just looked at different vendors and different places. I took recommendations from police department on which brands and things like that, or which things to look for. And so I just went out and got quotes that was under the $50,000 range. So I just went out and got the quotes and selected the most
Perfect.
economical
Perfect, thank you.
choice.
Anything else? All right, Mr. Rieger, do you have anything? Or would you like to adjourn the meeting?
What do you ask Whitney if she is?
Whitney, do you have anything, or would you like to adjourn the meeting?
Only if Kenneth does.
Mr. Reader, that guess that he gave you is spot on. 2.3 is what we paid for gas and electric last year.
Gas and electric? Okay. What is it, $4,000 refund?
Oh yeah, let's take that off.
$4,000, okay.
1.9.
Thank you, Dr. Seegers
Thank
and
you.
staff. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys, have a good night.
You too.